Good morning, Westside.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today. It's a busy time of year for many of us. We may be getting ready for family to visit, or we may be getting ready to go and visit family, or we may already be blessed with the presence of family here for the holidays, these holy days of joy and celebration. We may also be here today because family is too far away, or perhaps unable to visit, or even possibly estranged. It could also be that your family, like mine, is nearby, that you're able to see one another throughout the year whenever you like. This geographical closeness is, I can personally tell you, both a blessing and a curse. I'm fortunate that it is much more the former than the latter. If you have no plan for the day that dominates this time of year, Christmas Day, I'll remind you that the Reverend Annie Furster has graciously opened her home to you because you read the West Side Story, our church newsletter, religiously. You know that she invites you to be with her if your plans fall through or if there were no plans to begin with. This offering is very gracious of Annie, and I hope those of you who can will take advantage of her holiday gift. Whatever the circumstance, for you to be here when there is likely so much going on right now, well, for that I say thank you. But I hope you'll forgive me for saying this. And you need not agree with me this morning. But I find this time of year to be very confusing. I mean, what is all this going on around us this time of year? And more importantly, how does it honestly play into the faith of a Unitarian Universalist today? I think those of you who've been members of Westside for a few years know that I find the reflection I give during our stewardship campaign to be difficult. I find it challenging to ask people to give money in support of Westside, but I also understand how important it is to do so. I know the stewardship reflection will come every year, and I've reconciled myself, I think, to the tension which comes to me by not wanting to talk about money and yet understanding the necessity of it. I'm not sure I've said the same thing about two other reflections which come every year that offer me the opportunity to sit in my own anxiety for a little while. It is the reflections I offer on the Sunday prior to Christmas and the one offered every Easter Sunday. So this morning, today, is perhaps more than most others, truly a reflection. I'm pondering, I'm deliberating, I'm ruminating. I do not pretend to have the answers to the questions I posed this morning. I merely offer them for you to think about too. And while I offer them, I realize I may be playing the role of the Grinch, the Scrooge, the curmudgeon, the one who pulls others down because of my own nonplussed reaction. And this is a role I seldom take on, at least that's what I believe. I like the idea of celebrating life, of celebrating people. But this year, more than most others, I wonder, what does it mean for me, as a Unitarian Universalist, to celebrate Christmas? Now, you may have noticed from this week's reflection description in prior orders of service in our newsletter that I've been struggling with what to say today for a while. Perhaps the description was a clue that I'm wrestling with my content on this Sunday of all Sundays. You've read the title, Christmas at Westside. It's the same title I use every year. Just like I use Easter at Westside every year. But for this Sunday, the description was, whether we want it to be or not, Christmas is here once again What will Russell say about it this time? When the deadline for the newsletter submission arrived, even he did not know the answer to that question. We may all be surprised this Sunday morning, it says. Well, that, my friends, is a description of someone who is stoned. It is a clue that I struggle with all this. So in the past, in some ways, I've spent this Sunday deconstructing Christmas. How many of the traditions and symbols, the date of Jesus' birth itself, perhaps even Jesus himself, originate in other religious traditions. In fact, I recently read a book to try and figure out what to say today, written by two evangelical Christians titled Pagan Christianity. But by the middle of the book, I just said, so what? I mean, really, so what? I'm not that interested in the origins of Christianity today. I know that story fairly well and have decided that, insert big gasp here, I'm not a Christian. I don't think that's too terribly odd within our congregations. Now, there certainly are Unitarian Universalists who identify as Christian. But there are also those who identify as Jewish. There are a number of Buddhists. There are some in UU congregations who came out of the faith of Islam. There are some earth-centered folks, and a predominance of those who now identify as humanists, though they may have come out of any of the other faith traditions. My suspicion is that in most UU congregations there is some talk about other faith traditions, though it may very well be mostly occurring within our children's religious education. Yet my belief is that our way of being religious as a community today has only a little to do with the Christ child. I mean, we can pretend like Christmas means something like peace on earth. We can change it around if we want to try and reshape the meaning in order to make it more palatable, but it really is about the birth of Jesus. The reason for the season, if we are honest, really is the celebration of Jesus of Nazareth's birth. It is, at its base, a Christian celebration. So what does it mean to us, to Unitarian Universalists who celebrate Christmas? I don't know. Perhaps the question becomes, where is Jesus in all of this for us? It occurred to the Sunday school teacher that with all the emphasis on the nativity over Christmas, that some children may get the impression that the birth of Jesus was a recent event. She wanted to be sure the children understood that he grew up and did many things. So she decided that the topic of the lesson that Sunday would be, where is Jesus now? She put this question to the class, and immediately many hands shot into the air as many of the children were keen to state their opinion. What do you think, Johnny? She asked. He's in the church, ma'am, Johnny replied. Okay. What about you, Rosie? I believe Jesus is in heaven, ma'am, said Rosie. That's good. What about you, Billy? Billy was a little hesitant, and then he blurted out, I think he's in our bathroom. The classroom erupted with uproarious laughter, but eventually the teacher managed to quell the noise, and she said, oh, really? What makes you think that, Billy? Well, ma'am, some mornings my dad knocks on the bathroom door and says, Jesus Christ, are you still in there? So every year, my spouse, Gail, and I go through this same routine. After Thanksgiving, she says, when are we going to put up the Christmas tree and lights? I say, I don't want to put up the Christmas tree. Why would we want to do that anyway? She says, are we going to argue about this again this year? And I say, why not? Christmas. We don't decorate our home for the holidays of other religions. You might see from this that I'm really getting ready for a good fight. And so Gail says, will you just do it for me? And I said, okay. That's our tradition. And here, quite possibly, is the kicker, the contradiction I feel in this entire thing, this thing where I struggle to put meaning into this holiday. It is that I really like a great deal about Christmas. I love the songs, even if I don't like all the words. I go around whistling these songs all through the latter part of November and through December. I mean, while I was preparing this reflection, I consistently had Christmas songs playing in the background. I'll watch television programs about the holiday. In fact, and Gail might attest to this, I think I may have some sort of a thing for Michael Bublé. After watching his Christmas special twice this year. He seems to take such joy in performing these songs, and he sings like the crooners of old I love, who also sang Christmas songs. People like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Bing Crosby, Perry Como, Nat King Cole, and Andy Williams. And Bublé has this charm I seem to find attractive. So I've not yet erased his television show from my DVR. I'm caught, you see, in this place of wondering what significance Christmas has for me, and then loving the time of year and how I participate in it. The tradition Gail and I have come to love the most is purchasing gifts for the little angels. Thanks to all of you who helped make that happen each year, and thanks for finding a way to do it again this year when circumstances changed for the way we typically team up with another organization to make Christmas a happy time for less fortunate boys and girls. So each year, Gail and I pick a little boy angel and a little girl angel. We go to the store together, and then we will go our separate ways. She'll go one way, I'll go the other. We pick out our gifts of toys and clothes and books, then join up again to see what the other has put in their basket. We get great joy from this, and every year we inevitably shed a little tear that this exercise is even necessary, but are happy we're able to help in some small way. I'm so confused today because when I hear pieces of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, I weep. When I buy gifts for these little angels, I cry. When I wrap my spouse's presents, I feel something quite positive, even though my wrapping abilities are somewhat circumspect. There are things I enjoy immensely about this holiday, but this only adds to my confusion. And perhaps that should be enough. Maybe I should just be happy with those good feelings and let it go. But that seems inauthentic to me. Doesn't feel quite right. And a big reason I think it bothers me so much is that each year this Sunday will come again. This holiday will be here again, and I'll need to say something from this pulpit that is both hopeful and at least a little bit true. And then I begin to think, if there are those of the Jewish faith who can appreciate Christmas, why can't I? You see, many of my favorite Christmas songs were written or performed by Jews. Here's just a sampling. Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, all created by Jews. Johnny Marks, a well-known Jewish songwriter, by himself wrote many Christmas songs. He wrote Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. Christmas. He wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, we just sang, Silver and Gold, a song that you may have heard Burl Ives do year after year, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, sung by Brenda Lee, and several others. Now, interestingly, these songs, you may notice, have little to do with Jesus. But these Jewish songwriters have created music that is embedded in our Christmas consciousness. And just as an aside, several times this year, after making store purchases, when the clerk wishes me a Merry Christmas, I wanted to say, I'm Jewish. But others have obviously felt the same discomfort with Christmas as have I. There have been attempts by groups to do something different this time of year. Humanists have created something called Human Light. It started in 2001 with a desire to create something that acknowledges the winter solstice and the holiday season so as not to be left out. It's intended to be a positive outlook on the new year and is typically celebrated on December 23rd, today, as a matter of fact. It's filled with singing, often a shared meal, perhaps a comedy skit that, although secular, does not make fun of other religious traditions. And then similarly, Kwanzaa, created by a university professor in California, was designed to create an experience for African Americans who no longer found Christmas celebrations to be as relevant to their reality, to their lived experience. The ideas of unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith are incorporated into the Kwanzaa ritual. Celebrated from December 26th through January 1st, it is 7 days the founder hoped would be a reminder of cultural self-determination, an expression of being African in a multicultural context. And then a few years ago, there was a couple of seminarians in Vancouver, British Columbia, who came up with the idea they called Chalaka. Have any of you heard about this? Chalaka is sort of a Unitarian Universalist response to Christmas. The idea is to light a chalice starting on the first Monday of December and continuing to that coming Sunday, and to reflect on the 7 principles of our faith. So the first day would concentrate on the worth and dignity of all. The second would examine the idea of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. The third day would light a chalice to honor spiritual growth, and so on, until each of the 7 principles are examined. So is Chalaka the answer to my conundrum that comes every year? I'm not sure. Like I said at the beginning of this reflection, I'm not sure what the answer is. But it is my belief that just like Christianity and Islam would differentiate their faith from Judaism, we Unitarian Universalists are in that same differentiation process with Christianity. Though it certainly didn't begin this way by either the Unitarians or the Universalists. I believe our religion today is something different. Now, if that is true, if we really are something different, what does it mean when we celebrate Christmas? When we make a big deal out of Easter? How authentic is that? Today I can only pose the question, but I believe it to be a question worth posing. So maybe I am a Grinch. Perhaps I am a Scrooge. It could very well be that I really am a curmudgeon. That may be the role I play this Sunday closest to Christmas. Yet come this time next year, I'll likely have put up the Christmas tree and lights. I'll still be buying presents for my family, for my spouse, and for those little angels. And I'll very likely be wondering, what in the world will I say from the pulpit? But however you view this holiday, I sincerely wish you beauty. I wish you peace. I wish you love, and I wish you happiness. Not just on Christmas Day, but on all the days to come. As we rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn number 259, We Three Kings of Orient Are, let's sing the first